You remind your child about homework once, twice, more times than you can count, and still nothing gets done. You're calm, you're patient, you're trying not to yell, and somehow homework still turns into tension every single day. If this is happening in your home, I want you to hear this first. This is not because your child is lazy, and it's not because you're doing something wrong. But there is a reason this keeps getting harder the more you try. Most parents believe that if they just remind one more time, explain better, or stay on top of things, homework will finally click. But what most parents don't realize is that this approach often makes homework harder and not easier. In fact, it trains your child's brain to resist. Here's the reframe that changes everything. This is rarely a motivation problem, it's a brain load problem. When your child's brain is tired, stressed, or overwhelmed, the systems needed for homework stop working well. And when reminders pile on, the pressure increases. This pressure pushes the brain into a shutdown mode. Now, that shutdown can look like procrastination, avoidance, or not caring. But it's not defiance, it's physiology. And once you understand this, the solution is no longer about reminding harder. It's about designing homework in the way that their brains can actually handle. In this video, I'm going to show you 3 simple strategies that can reduce resistance, protect your relationship with your child, and make homework smoother without reminders or power struggles. Now, let's start by understanding what homework is really asking your child's brain to do. Homework depends on a set of skills called executive functions. These include starting the task, staying focused, holding instructions in mind, shifting between the steps, and finishing. All of these steps are managed by a part of the brain called prefrontal cortex. As I've shared in my earlier videos, this part of brain develops very slowly. It is still under construction throughout the childhood and adolescence. And research shows that it continues to develop well into their 20s. That's why children can be capable in one moment and completely stuck in the other, even on the same day. Now, add stress on top of that. Stress has a direct and immediate effect on the prefrontal cortex. So, when the stress rises, the brain shifts away from thoughtful, organized thinking towards survival mode. In simple terms, stress makes it harder to think, and homework often happens at the worst possible time after a full day of school, sustained effort, social demands, and transitions. So your child's brain's mental fuel is already low. And when they avoid homework, what you may be seeing is not refusal, it's depletion. This brings us to the next question. Why do reminders lose their power over time? Reminders feel logical, right? But they're not so neutral. Every time you remind your child, it carries emotional weight. Even if you're speaking calmly, repeated reminders signal urgency and pressure. Over time, their nervous system links homework with stress. Once that association forms, the brain begins to avoid the task automatically. The more pressure applied, the more brain protects itself by disengaging. This is why reminders stop working and the brain adapts and the resistance grows. Now, let's talk about what actually helps. I'm going to share 3 simple steps that make homework easier for both you and your child. The first step is to create a clear and predictable start cue. Most problems happen at the starting line. Moving from a preferred activity to a demanding one requires strong executive function. Without a clear cue, their brain is not going to follow that instruction. A well studied strategy is to link action to a cue. Researchers call this as implementation intention. It reduces the decision making. The brain stops debating and follows a script. The cue can be a time, it could be an event or a location. What matters is consistency. So you don't have to become the cue, let the environment cue the action. For older children and adults, you can involve them in choosing the cue. And it's going to protect their autonomy while keeping the expectation to start and finish the homework intact. For example, you might say, homework has to be done every day. Let's decide what signals the start so I don't have to remind you. The cue could be 4:30 p.m. every day, or when the snack is finished every day, or when the backpack is placed on the desk every day. Once the cue is set, there are no reminders, no negotiations, and no countdowns. If your child delays, you simply say, snack is done, what happens next? You don't explain, you don't argue, you point to the cue. This works because it reduces the decision fatigue, it removes the power struggle, and it preserves autonomy, and it builds the executive function through repetition. Their brain follows. The second step is deciding where homework happens. Many children do homework on couch one day, kitchen table the next day, then on bed, on the floor. And each time the brain is asking, are we really working right now? Their brain learns through association. Bed signal rest, dining table signal eating, A consistent homework spot signals focus. When the location keeps changing, the brain has to work harder to switch the modes. Choose one homework spot, same place, every day. It doesn't have to be perfect, just predictable. Prepare the environment in advance. Keep supplies in one place, charge the devices ahead of time. Every small barrier you remove is going to save mental energy. The third step is deciding how the homework is done. The big task overwhelms their brain, and overwhelm triggers avoidance. So when your child hears finish all your homework, their brain sees one large demand. The solution is to make work feel doable because momentum comes from starting and not finishing. Small visible steps can create quick wins, and that's going to tell their brain, I can do this. Instead of presenting homework as one big block, you can break it down into small chunks. Math questions 1 to 5, or one page of reading, or one paragraph of writing. Each step should feel slightly easier. Next, contain the time. Open-ended homework increases stress. Bounded time increases focus. You're not asking for completion in one setting. You're asking for engagement. For example, for ages 6 to 10, 10 to 15 minutes of work block works the best. For slightly older kids, like between 9 to 12, 15 to 25 minutes works the best. And for teenagers, you can make a block of 30 to 40 minutes. Set a timer. When it ends, decide together what comes next. They may want to do a short break, or they may want to stop if effort is spent. This prevents burnout and builds trust, and your child learns that effort matters more than endless pushing. So the three steps are simple. Choose one consistent cue, choose one consistent location, break down the work into small chunks with clear blocks of time. Now repeat this daily for at least a week. Don't change the systems every day. Our brains need repetition to build the habits. This will look different for every age. For a younger child, homework might start after snack at the kitchen table with 10-minute blocks and short breaks. For a middle schooler, homework might start at a set time, with the child choosing the order and the parent checking in briefly, focusing on effort. For a teen, homework might start within a time window. The teenager chooses the exact start time and sends a quick signal when they begin. The parent does not hover, and check-ins are limited and respectful. Finally, I want to name a very common mistake caring and involved parents make, one that explains why it feels like the harder you try, the worse it gets. That mistake is becoming your child's external brain. When parents track assignments, remind about homework, watch deadlines, push the start, and manage completion, homework literally lives in the parent's head. At first, this feels responsible, like you're helping your kid, but over time, it backfires. When, as a parent, you hold the executive function, your child's brain doesn't practice it. Your child learns that the homework only happens when someone else makes it happen. There's also a relationship cost. Homework becomes a source of tension, and learning gets linked to conflict. The parent becomes the enforcer, not the supporter. So the solution is not to remove the expectations, it's to change how those expectations are supported. You're not failing your child, you're just caring too much for them. With the right system in place, you can step back and let your child step up. If this resonated with you, please share it with another parent who's stuck in the similar struggle.